To be honest, when you
Yeah.
sent like a little draft of what we, might talk about, and the first question right off the bat was, who is Lydia? And I don't know if I'm thinking about it too seriously or thinking about it too much. I try not to, but I find it quite difficult to introduce myself to new people or even to, anyone, just because, well, for me, the sense of self changes quite a lot, and it's quite hard to pin down on few words or adjectives or jobs to, say, oh, this is me. Because if I fix a certain narrative about myself, I tend to get attached to it. And when I do, sometimes it feels suffocating. So, for those reasons, it was a difficult question to answer, but I thought
Of
about it.
course.
But I think I could just say that I make music here and there, and I sing, and I enjoy and appreciate art, any sort of creative things. Yeah, that's the best I can come up with. It's also kind of weird and scary just because, it might not really be that way tomorrow. Maybe I'm not the same person as today as tomorrow. So to say something like that to someone who just met me is kind of, I don't know, kind of daunting in a way. So for me, I don't think I am drawn to a specific story or theme. I think I used to when I was a bit much more younger. It's just that I want to do something that I'm comfortable with. But now, I don't think I'm interested in a specific world. Rather, I could say I'm drawn to things that are beautiful, so to say. But beautiful can be, it really can be anything. The process can feel beautiful. The just the work itself or the end result can be just beautiful. It can be ugly and beautiful, and so anything I feel, oh, that's really beautiful, then I'm just instantly drawn to it. I don't think it's a matter of a specific story. It's just a feeling. I think well, I was really surprised by your first impression of me just because it was so accurate. Because I feel like I am a very dreamy person. I don't think I'm a very realistic human being, but at the same time, I try to think about things twice, try to structure it and control it. But I think that does stem from my upbringing in Korea. Well, for me, I spent all my childhood in New Zealand up until 13. And right when I hit puberty, I came to Korea. And just the phase of that childhood from puberty is a huge change, but the environment changed drastically for me. So New Zealand, I feel like it has a more multicultural environment with rich nature, very slow paced. I would go around neighborhoods with my barefoot. Everything was just so natural. And to move to a place where it's so fast paced and relatively homogenous society, to have that contrast in my upbringing, I think that's when I really learned to not lean too much on one side, just for me to survive in a way. For a long time, I think I had this resentment almost because of how unstable it was and confusing it was. And I kept on fixating where I should or could belong. So it was a very confusing phase of my life for me, but that actually that helped me gain some kind of balance, and I really appreciate that kind of balance. I think that control and that sense of hesitation does really come from this fast-paced society where diversity looks a bit different here compared to different countries. Again, I think it's such a homogenous society. So when we speak about diversity, it's I don't think there are many. I think people are quite scared to maybe stand out or be really raw and natural about things. I do think the whole aesthetic, the Korean aesthetic, comes from that kind of lack of diversity and feeling the unspoken pressure to be the best at what you do. I also think that can be a result of lack of diversity. For the past few years, I did meet some directors and artists who were much more process-oriented rather than focusing on the end result to be, pretty and perfect. So I think we're developing in a sense in terms of process and in terms of finding more fluidity in, feeling less pressure to be perfect and stuff. Well, I started singing as a child. I sang as long as I can remember. I was in a choir when I was 7, and from then on I played the piano, I played the violin. Music was very close to me. Yeah, I think I've done music for quite some time now, but it's hard for me to say that I'm a musician because I don't want to regard it as a job or an identity because it's such a close thing to me. It's almost like just living, and I also don't have this pressure to make money with it or be famous with it or make a career out of it. Or, well, I do feel that pressure at times, but for me, I don't want to be taken over by that pressure. So I wouldn't call myself, I'm a musician, I'm a professional musician. But I wouldn't either say that, I don't do music. I can't say that because I've done music my whole life. Well, for a long time, I thought my one dream, one goal was to be a singer-songwriter because that's how I, approached music. But then the more I, explore the music scene, I've learned that there are so much other things that you can do with sound and music. And from then on, I've taken on projects that I've never done before in music. And I really loved that because recently I've composed a lot of music for fashion films and short little commercial films. And I really love doing those kind of projects just because it's a really different feeling from when you're writing a song for just yourself to sing. To write something for a client and it's half artistic and half commercial. It's really fun to dabble between those two worlds. And it helped me to put down my ego also. It's just because everything that I create, I tend to take it very close to my heart because it's just so personal and it's so vulnerable every time. I'm so scared of how people would see it. So if there's, any criticism about it, I tend to take it very personally. But learning not to do that from these kind of projects really freed me from being more creative. And I really like that about this process, because once you make something and then you send it to them and they're like, I don't like this, and it's not their vision. It doesn't mean that the music can suck, but you know. So I really enjoy that process. I really enjoy making music for films, and I also enjoy having visuals emerge with the sound, because I think they really work well with each other, and the sound enhances the visual, and I love the feeling of making this visual thing alive, or making it seem like a different narrative. I think working with films, and even working with my friend Pomgyu in Copenhagen, the performance was very fun for me, because that performance was really solely based on the process rather than the end result. That's the whole meaning of that artwork. So it was very interesting for me to do that, because mostly when you're a singer-songwriter and when you're singing, the end result of the song it kind of has to be the main focus, although the process is very fun and important. But moving on from that, and just to really, feel the performance, and just, going with the flow and not thinking about how it would end or how it would look like, that was really interesting for me too. I don't think I have a ritual or a structured process, because I don't think I found one that works well with me, or maybe I'm the type of person that doesn't work well with structured process. And I also don't like working in one space, like the same space, which is very annoying, because it's hard to move around and work. But if I stay in the same place for too long, and if I've created a lot in that one space, I tend to get very bored. And so for me, I think I like having options for different approaches. I like moving around while making music, or maybe I just didn't find anything that works for me. But for now, I just do whatever I feel like that day. I had this phase where I could only speak English, because I went to Thailand when I was 2 years old, and I went to an English-speaking preschool, and then I moved to New Zealand, and then I graduated primary school there. So there was a time where my Korean wasn't as fluent as I am right now, which I think, yeah. I think my mom really tried to help me out with that. She forced me to speak Korean at home, and she tried to help me study Korean, and she also took me to Korea every holiday. That's when I started to pick up Korean. And yeah, now I don't think I'm fluent in both, but yeah. Again, I'm not fluent in English or in Korean. I don't speak any languages, but for me, what's interesting is that I find English more comfortable when speaking about emotions and feelings and something very intuitive. And I find Korean way more easy when you're speaking in a more business term, in a way. I don't know why, but I think it's also in the pronunciations, and it is sometimes hard for me to express something very vague and very ambiguous in Korean, whereas in English it's sometimes hard to explain something very logical and very strict. I also think that in terms of expressing your emotions, English-speaking people, or rather the Western culture, they tend to put their energy outwards, and the Asian culture, I think they tend to put their energy inwards. At first glance, it does seem like they're more, confident and more, they're confident to take up more space and stuff. For me, the fear of being seen, it comes with feeling inadequate. Understanding how flawed of a human being you are, and maybe cynical or, self-absorbed human you can be, you have this fear of maybe that you might not be accepted to, to humanity. I think that's where my fear of being seen comes from. It's just that maybe it's similar to fear of rejection, the wanting to belong to something or someone. I do have a lot of fear of being seen and fear of rejection compared to, there are friends that have less, I feel like. But I think everyone has it. I think it's a very human thing. I don't know. I think it's a characteristic thing. If you're a sensitive person, if you're a sensitive baby, if you're born as a sensitive baby, it might affect more. If you're more of a, it's good, it's fine kind of person, it's a less daunting. Yeah, I think it's a primal fear to, be seen and to be rejected, because I believe everyone has this feeling of inadequacy and imposter syndrome. Maybe they're not worthy of their own opinion or their voice. I feel like these days it's so easy to have your own voice, and it's so easy to expose yourself. It's so easy to get judged. It's so easy to be judgmental. The anxiety there, I think it's there. I think it's getting worse. I also very much agree with how beautiful it is to be a flawed human being, and to recognize it and to be careful about it, because your flawed aspect of yourself can sometimes hurt others. It can hurt you. So being careful about it and being aware of it I think it's a very good quality. But when it's too much of it, when you stray too much to that side, I also do think that really it really hinders your process to go forward and to let go and to try something new, and to not let it's getting harder to not let your fear take over you. So also trying to find that balance between those two worlds. I think I put most of my energy into finding that balance these days. I think I'm far from reaching a certain balance, but just by trying to balance myself, really, you learn a lot from it, and you learn a lot about how things work, how you work, how people work. So I just try, but I don't think I'm there yet, and I don't think there's a certain point where you feel, oh, this is it. Because I think human will just keep on living, and the death is just the final result, and everything in between is just everything is process, everything is just ongoing learning process. So I don't think there's a certain point where you feel, okay, I'm zen. I am currently in this phase where I am chaotic. I've been trying to stay on schedule and trying to be structured for a few months now, but I think I'm out of energy, and it's nearly the end of the year, and It feels like holiday, so I'm giving myself some time. I'm giving myself some time to,
go out with a bang.
I am currently, well, I've always been questioning and thinking about this, but I'm currently still battling these two different worlds where the mastery of techniques and skills and knowing how to fully let go in terms of singing, composing, creating. I've been always thinking about them just because I used to be a person where the mastery of skills, I don't think they really matter. I used to think like that. I used to think that how much you're honest with it is more important than skill. The sense of genuine feeling makes it more beautiful than having a perfect, flawless skill. But then recently, I've learned that they go hand in hand, really. I think it's a form of artistry to find that balance. And my vision board is to find that balance, to be able to really have the freedom and the choice of knowing when to let go and having the courage to let go and having the skill to control things that I really want to control. I hope that I could spend some time in a different country. I think it's very fun to do that. Going to a place where no one knows you or no one speaks the language that you're used to, I think that's very fun. I think I'm just so used to moving around, going different places. And also, I just get very tired of the same environment easily. So I always dream about going somewhere that I haven't been, or going to a place where there are more diversity, and we're going to a place with much more of a art scene. I really liked Copenhagen. I think it's a beautiful place. But I feel like maybe Berlin next time. I really liked how dynamic it was and how interesting the whole environment was. Because I lived in Paris for about a year and a half, so I had this opportunity to go around. Berlin was by far the most unlike Europe, and I feel like I could do something interesting there, something I've never done before, and no one would say anything about it.
Wow.
I love Paris. I loved Paris. I still love Paris. I just love the city. I love how honest and how romantic and how beautiful it is and how expressive it is. I really enjoyed Paris. I would love to go back there. But, Berlin sounds nice because I've never lived there, so anything somewhere new is always more exciting, apparently. It doesn't matter where you live, it's just how you're gonna perceive it. It's how you're gonna think about it, it's how you're gonna approach it, it's how you're gonna live in it. It's rather not about the country itself, really. So it made me realize that a lot, but again, I still have this hope where I could find the perfect place for me, where I could have this perfect community where everyone gets me, and I don't know. I was going to move to London for a while, but then I chose Paris. I don't specifically know why, but I just wanted to go to a place where I don't speak their language. So, but now I do also dream of living in London as well, just because of their richness in the music scene. I still have this feeling that maybe that could be it, but I also try to ground myself, thinking that I have to learn how to live with myself and with the society here as well. So